Hey, food friends, and welcome to the Food Founders Podcast. Whether you're looking to get on your very first store shelf or you're looking to grow your national or even international food brand, this podcast is going to teach you what it really takes to launch, grow, and scale a packaged food brand. Hear the food founder journeys of brands growing in their industry so you can fast track your food business success. I'm your host, Ainsley, and this is the Food Founders Podcast. Hey, everyone, and welcome to the Food Founders Podcast. Today, I'm here with Rick Ross from Snoooze. Rick, welcome to the Food Founders Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you.
Really excited to have you here. You have a really interesting product. Why don't you go ahead and tell everyone what exactly Snoooze is?
So Snoooze is an all-natural sleep drink. So there's lots of products in the market: melatonin, Tylenol PM, ZQL. People take Xanax, Ambien. There's all types of sleep aids that are narcotics or synthetics. All the beverages in the market are also synthetic ingredients. For the first all-natural sleep drink that's plant-based, that has no artificial ingredients, no melatonin, to help you get to your regular sleep cycle. So for myself, I don't sleep very well. So that's kind of how I got into this. But the product it's got 4 basic ingredients that really help you relax, get to sleep and stay asleep, and get you into your what we call REM and deep sleep, because you need restorative sleep. And people don't realize that take synthetic drugs or drugs that they get sleep. They feel rested in the morning, but they're groggy. Their brain isn't working well. It's a hard time to get started. It's because they're not getting REM and deep sleep. And so your body has to go through this natural process. And so our product just helps you get back to your normal sleep cycle. So if you sleep 2 hours a night, it'll help you get to 3. You sleep 5 hours a night, like me, I was a 5-hour sleeper. It helps me get between 6 and 8 hours sleep. Like when I don't take it, I'm back to my 5 to 6. And when I take it, I'm usually anywhere between 6 and 8 hours. So it helps you get back into that normal sleep cycle and helps you get a better night's sleep. And I'm always in a better mood, and I feel better when I get a good night's sleep, but I'm not so nice when I get a short night's sleep, a little more cranky and moody. And that's normal with most people. So that's what the product is. And it's a wonderful product because it comes in a liquid. So it's not like you're taking pills. It takes hours to work. It really will work 20 to 30 minutes after you take it. The other nice thing is you can take it, and if you stay up for 2 hours and don't go to bed, it isn't going to make you groggy. But when you lay down, you go right to sleep. And so what's really nice about it is it's not a narcotic. So when you take a narcotic or an over-the-counter sleep medicine, it makes you like groggy, and then you go to sleep, and it kind of knocks you out. And people look for that in sleep medicines, and this is the complete opposite. It just helps you when you go to sleep, stay asleep. When you wake up, you feel great. You don't even realize it worked. But then you quit taking it, and you notice you're not in as good a mood, and then you realize it really helps quite a bit. So, and the strong has more valerian in it. So people who are nervous, have anxiety, the valerian really helps calm you. And valerian doesn't taste very good, and so that's why a lot of people don't take it. We've been able to come up with a recipe that really makes it taste nice. It tastes like herbal tea. It's not a sweet drink or a pretty drink, because it's all herbs, but it's just a nice herbally tea taste, and you just drink it real quick, and it's really wonderful. So that's what it is.
You mentioned that you were not a great sleeper at one point, and is that really why you created this, or were you seeing just the fact that our society now is not sleeping, and we know that there's so much research that says sleep is so important to our overall well-being?
The research is really bubbling up. So for me, if you know my life, so I run a candy company, 1,200 employees, 600 new products a year. We sell all over the place. I'm on a plane going to Asia, going to Europe, going all over the U.S. I go to California, which is different time zone. I'm in Colorado, and I'm down south, and I'm moving around all the time. And so for me, my time zone gets screwed up, my cycle. And I was taking Xanax when I went overseas to Europe or to Asia to sleep. And I didn't realize it was a problem until one of my employees, when I started taking Snoooze, said, "You're not taking sleeping pills anymore." And I was like, "Well, how did you even know I was taking them?" Because every day at 4 o'clock, I'd be a little bit cranky. I asked my pharmacist actually about it years ago, and he said there's a hangover from the drug, and that's where that comes from. And I'd be very cranky for 10 minutes every day, not a pleasant sight. And I'm like, as a leader, that wasn't the way I want to be perceived. And I don't want my employees to ever feel like, I'm being a pain in the butt. So I knew it was a problem. And when I ran into Snoooze through a friend of mine that was creating it, I said I'd be a guinea pig and I'd try it. But it helped me so much. Like my last 3 trips to Asia, I took it on the plane. And when I got there, I didn't have hardly any jet lag. I was able to sleep well. I wasn't cranky or moody. And it's just really made a difference for my life. So that's kind of how I started it. And we were just doing it in a test form. So then we came up with the paper can. It wasn't me. It was the other founder in Austria who was the 3rd employee at Red Bull. And I know him from the chocolate business. So he was the innovation director of chocolate for the largest chocolate company in the world. And we just knew each other. And we were talking about this one night. And that's how we got into it. And so we created the paper can, and all natural ingredients. We got the flavor right, and that's how I got into it.
I think the paper can is really interesting. I remember the first time I saw the product at Expo East in last year, in 2019, and I know the beverage industry, and I can't recall ever seeing a paper can like that. I would imagine that in and of itself had a lot of innovation behind it, and there was a lot going there.
Yeah, I mean, it's challenging because paper's not like a tin can. So if you drop it, it dents. It'll leak if you squeeze it, like in your suitcase. So there's a lot of challenges, but we wanted to create a package that said, hey, I'm all natural. I'm good for this earth. Like, one of the things we want to do is be responsible. So we're not trying to be like all these other products. They just want to be everywhere overnight. We want to really develop a good, loyal clientele of people that it really changes their life and makes their life better. We want them to be people that, want to do it the right way. So when it's all natural, it's non-synthetic, it's better on your body. And there's so many things out there that are just awful for you. And so, like anything, moderation's good. You can take it every night. I take it 4 nights a week because I don't think you should take it. No matter what it is, you shouldn't be taking it every night. And also I've learned when I'm not traveling and not busy, I sleep great. Like I'll go 2 weeks without taking it. But then when I'm working and busy, I take it Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday for me. But I notice on the weekends, I don't sleep as well as when I take it. And so it's a very interesting product because, well, first of all, if you look for it, it's Snoooze with 3 O's. People think it's 2 O's, so it gets confusing when you're looking for it. But what's really interesting, if you take it for 4 nights and then you stop, you'll see the difference. If you take it for 1 night, you don't even know it worked. So people say, oh, it didn't work. But they were in a good mood the next day and they don't even realize it, right? And they think it's a drug, so they want it to knock them out and they want to feel groggy in the morning. It doesn't do that. So then they say, well, it didn't work. And it's like, well, if you take it for 3 or 4 nights, you'll see. So 2 nights is the best way. Take 2 nights to die off and 2 nights again. So you can get a free sample on our website. If you go on our website, it's $4 for the freight, but we give you a little crate, 2 cans absolutely free because we believe in the product and want people to try it. And we always recommend to buy 2 more so you can get 4 nights. But this product for me has been great. It's been life-changing. So our goal is to slowly build it over time for people who really want to improve their sleep. So.
I love that you're all about letting people try it to see the effects themselves, and that you're not necessarily going to recognize it right away. So you got to give it a chance because, people are used to either not sleeping or sleeping and having that groggy hangover. And this is completely new in that sense.
Well, and there's people that drink bourbon every night or a beer every night to sleep, or wine. And they say no alcohol 2 hours before you sleep is usually a good recommendation. And to think about, if you really want restorative and regenerative sleep, you've got to get into that REM in deep sleep cycle. And they don't realize when they're taking all these other things, it doesn't help them. We hear when we have our booth at the show, you would not believe the amount of stories we get about how people can't sleep, their wife can't sleep, their husband, their kid. And we meet a lot of insomniacs that sleep 2 hours a night, maybe. And they'll say, oh my God, I slept 3 hours. Oh, and then I slept 4. And for me, it took 6 months to go from 5 hours sleep to 8. But now I get between 7 and 8 hours sleep almost every night. And a lot of it's habit, right? Because most people say, oh, I'll sleep when I die, right? Well, you're going to die sooner if you don't sleep. But also, if you only allow 4 hours or 5 hours of time to sleep, then that's all you're going to sleep. So I actually had to learn that I'm not going to bed early enough, or I'm scheduling my day too early. So I actually have to plan, okay, if I'm going to sleep 8 hours, I need to go to bed at 11 or at 12 instead of 2, right? But if you go to bed at 2 and have to be up at 7, I mean, that's the amount of sleep you're going to get. So it's been very interesting. And the product helped me get into a cycle where I'm now getting anywhere between 6 and 8 hours. I'm really good about 7, and getting to 8, I try to on the weekends. You know what? I've lost weight. I feel better. I'm not moody. I'm more calm during the day. And you know, when you're managing people and you're in meetings all day, you've got to be on your game, and they expect you to be perfect all day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wasn't like that when I was traveling, and I'd be moody and I'd be a little snappy. And who wants to create a culture where you don't know the mood of the boss, right? And I have to be in a good mood every day. So, you know, and for like athletes who want to be, are going to be in a marathon, or they have to perform in an event, you know, they need to get good sleep. So we find a lot of athletes take the product like before a big run, or they're preparing for something, or people that've got, you know, they've got a competitive game with their boss playing golf, and they want to make sure they sleep well. But it's really interesting the amount of people who are very healthy take our product and just love it, and say it just helps them prepare and gives them a little more competitive edge than when they don't sleep well. Because you know how you get nervous. You got a meeting with the boss, a big customer, you know, like the night before a flight, I have to take strong. I like regular the best, but if I don't take a strong, I wake up because I'm anxious, you know, I don't want to sleep, I got to catch my plane. And we find that with athletes, they take the strong, get a really good night's sleep, and then the next day they're great. And I do it before a board meeting and all those kinds of things.
When you think about the growth of the company from when it first started, this idea, to where you are now, what would you say has been one of the biggest wins that let you really realize that this is a product that lots of people need, and there is a viable product and a market for this?
Well, I think the first thing is when so a couple of things. Let me just kind of walk you from the beginning. When we first got the product, and we had to buy a lot of it because we had a big minute mortar to get that cute little can. We had to print a lot of board. We started in Cincinnati, Ohio, at a store called Jungle Gyms, and it's a gourmet grocery store with a lot of traffic. It gets a lot of people, and they let us set up a pallet. They let us put a stand to do demos, and we did a ton of demos. And we started talking to consumers, and we were shocked about how many people don't sleep well and do nothing. So if you look at the statistics, 9 out of 10 people don't sleep well, and out of that, 7 out of the 9 don't do anything about it. The 2 from the 7 and 9 are taking the NyQuils, the Xanax, the Ambience, the melatonin. And so our market is the people that don't do anything about it, and because they've always been afraid, right? And so I think the big wins is being able to open there, talk to customers and really understand kind of what their problems were and what their needs were. And so we validated for 6 months that the product would sell. So we didn't want to push it out nationwide if people weren't going to buy it once and then never try it again. And so Cincinnati is a tough market, very conservative. Things we heard is, oh, we don't like the taste. It's very herbally because it tastes like herbal tea. You know, in California and New York, they think it's cool, but in where we live, they all want sweet stuff, right? And so we found a lot of the customers in the beginning just thought the taste was strange. And as we got more to the people that buy all natural products, plant-based products, they love the taste of it, right? So we had a lot of learnings with trying to understand who our consumer was, but we've done really well. It's still our number one account. They sell tons of our product, and we have a big loyal following. And so the big wins for us were the show. So we did the show in Baltimore to launch the product, and we were shocked about people at the show that had all these sleep issues. Forget their store, but they're just the consumer that was there and looking for solutions. So then we landed in New York City and Westerly's Market was our first New York account. And now we're in probably about 40 some accounts in New York, I guess. And we're now in 200 stores. 2 years ago, we were in one, right? So we've really grown nicely. We have a store in LA called Rainbow Acres that was unbelievable for us. And we didn't realize the market out there. They're very much into plant-based products. And the amount of sales that they sell per week is crazy for us. The other big win was Spin Magazine. They did a big thing on the trending brands and categories. And we got an award from them because they said sleep was a trending category. We got an award for Nexi from the show. And we also got in Men's Journal. So those are the things that kind of helped bring credibility to the product in the US. And we got a lot of press in Europe. And Europe is ahead of us. They started about 9 months before we did. So those are the things that helped us get started.
It seems like you were really tuned into your consumer there in terms of figuring out who they were. You kind of dropped a pallet, were right there beside it, seeing who picked it up, who actually liked it, who didn't, because the statistics are staggering when you share them, how many people do not sleep. But even within that, it's not everyone who doesn't sleep. That's never the case, right? There's a subsegment of it. So it seems like you were really just tuned into getting really curious.
We launched there in May of, 2018. So we demo there every week. And so you see regular people come back. Oh my God, it worked great. Thank you for giving me a sample. But what we have found, we thought it was like this specific market, 35 to 55-year-old female who's buying for herself and her husband is busy. No, we found it was 25 to 65, and it was just people that don't sleep, right? And people that were health-minded, people doing yoga, people exercising regularly, but still not sleeping well, people that are stressed, people that are traveling. I mean, you name it. The biggest thing we didn't realize was the number one. So in America, everyone thinks drunk driving is the big fatality on the highway. More people have fatal accidents from falling asleep, from sleep fatigue on the road than alcohol. And so for us, it's crazy. But like people who work third shift, doctors, emergency rooms, nurses, police officers, people that have weird shifts, airplane. Like we have a lot of pilots that say, "Oh my God, it's been great." Stewardesses, the same thing, because they're on, they're off, they're on, they're off, and they work different shifts. Those people all are like, "I don't sleep," and so for them, it's giving them a solution that's healthy for them. It's all natural, and we find a lot of those consumers when we were working in the stores that we didn't even realize. And then there's a foundation called the National Sleep Foundation. If you look on their website, there's all kinds of stuff about all these statistics. And they're now just making sleep more of a priority, and people are becoming more aware that, like during the crisis right now for the corona crisis, your immune system needs to stay strong, right? Well, if you get good sleep, it improves your immune system, right? And so people who don't sleep well and don't manage their sleep really are now starting to think about it. And so like we've offered here in Cincinnati to the doctors and nurses at the hospitals free Snoooze if they need it during the crisis. As things are going to ramp up and they're working more and sleeping less, we're going to provide it as a donation to them, because a lot of these people are working so hard in these hospitals and they're not going to get the sleep that they need. But sleep is critical. And as you look into it, if you think about it, if you're a first responder, and you're not on your game, if you're a doctor, you're not on your game, you're a pilot, you're a corporate leader, you're a boss, all these people have to be at the top of their game. How can you do that every day and they're not sleeping, right? And the thing that's crazy is suicide. They say people with insomnia end up killing themselves because if you don't sleep, it creates all these issues. So when you read about on the Sleep Foundation, they have some articles or some books we've read, but a big part of suicide is for people that don't sleep. And so if you don't sleep, you should do something about it so you don't get to the point where you kill yourself, right? And depression is caused a lot by not sleeping, So there's just so many things they figured out over time that sleep is so important. And so for me, I wasn't being selfish. It was the opposite. I just wanted people to see the transition I made in my life and say, if I could help other people do that, is really kind of why I did this. Because it's a little crazy. I'm busy. I don't have time. And to start a startup, I thought would be easy. I forgot what it was like when I started my other company with $1,000. It's a lot of hard work. And so it's a lot of blocking and tackling and being smart and talking to consumers and educating them. Because the people who buy it once, like, oh, it didn't work. Well, they didn't even know it worked because it didn't knock them out, right? But if you tell them, try it 2 nights or 4 nights, then they love it, right? And so how do we communicate that on the can? It's difficult, right? So we're having to, do a really nice job of just talking to consumers. Yeah, so we've demoed in a ton of stores. So, I mean, we do it all the time. Like even in New York, the big chain we're in, Balducci's Kings, we've been to their stores 3 times, to talk to consumers in every single store. And so it really does help to get out and talk to the consumers.
Love that you guys are giving back. Thank you for giving back to the first responders and everyone who needs it right now. Definitely needed.
And it's going to be in our city. It's not a crisis yet, but it's coming.
Yeah.
So we know my friends in the emergency room. It's going to be awful. We don't want them to get sick. So if they sleep well, right? If they run down and get themselves run down, they're going to get sick. So they got to be careful.
Right. I mean, you mentioned obviously starting a startup is, not the easiest thing out there. Now that you guys are a couple years in to this right now, what are some of the challenges that you're currently facing with Snoooze?
The biggest challenge is you have to make a certain amount and you got to sell that amount before it expires, right? And so when you start at zero, you got to build up from the ground up. So I think the biggest challenge is we have to buy a pretty large sum of cans every order, and we want to make sure we're moving those out before they expire. And in each order, of course, it's been less and less because we're selling a lot more. But that's a challenge, getting into big retail. You want to be in big retail to get distribution, but you also have to guarantee the sales. And if they don't move the product, they send it back. So that doesn't make sense when the brand is in its growing stages to be in those big retailers. So how do you get in more locations to make it easier for people to buy it, but also be profitable so the brand has life to it, right? Because like me, my biggest fear is the brand goes away and what am I going to do? I take it 4 nights a week. So I'm not about to let it fail. But it's it's one of those things that, when you're small, you've got to continue to grow. And so I think the challenge is demoing, with a limited team, you can only demo so much. How do we communicate with consumers better? So we're working really hard on updating our websites with videos, getting our Amazon store with videos on it, trying to use social media better. It's not been our focus. Our focus has been gourmet grocery and health food stores. So now with the coronavirus and we can't demo, right? We can't go see our customers. We're shifting our energy on how do we communicate better virtually. And so that's what we're working with. Those are challenges. And like anything, you want to do everything and you can only do so much. And cash is king in any new business, right? Cash flow and managing your customers, making sure you're getting paid. And then for us, it's the consumer. Like we want to do more consumer shows, go out and talk to consumers. And it's frustrating to us because you need time to do that. And you also got to make money to pay the bills, right? So there's a balancing act. And those are some of the challenges. But I think the media has been the hardest for us because the media says, well, we don't want to write about you unless you have a social presence and unless you have this, unless you have that. But it's like, don't you want to write about what's good for your followers and consumers? And they don't always want to, everyone wants to be a fast follower, and sleep is a boring topic, right? Because everyone wants to get relaxed, they want to have fun. So, you'll spend $5.50 for a Starbucks, right? Why wouldn't you spend $3 to sleep well? And a lot of people say, no, I'm not worried about sleep. I just want to get my day going. So it's changing the discussion. And like we went to the sleep show, where was that, in Texas? And we were surprised. They did this big convention and all these companies, and they didn't have a very good attendance. We thought it would be packed with people wanting to know how to sleep. And they had all these great speakers that came in from Harvard and all these universities, all these experts. and it wasn't that well attended. And so what it taught us is we're a little ahead of the curve right now, that the market is coming. There are people who are realizing they got to do more. So we just got to be patient. So, those are challenges. But I'm excited. I think 10 years from now, it'll be a very different discussion as long as we keep selling and, keep reinvesting. And, I make money through my other business. I just don't want to, I want to make sure this business can hold its own and grow properly. And the other thing we worry about is knockoffs, people that are going to use the same ingredients, but not the same quantity, right? And try to knock us off to make money versus doing what's right to help people have a proper, healthy sleep experience. And so our goal is to stay focused on making people happy through better sleep. And our purpose, is pretty clear. It is we want to help improve sleep in people's lives. I mean, if we can create sleep, it'll make people healthier and better. And so that's why we're donating some right now. And I think, give us enough time, we'll get there. We're in year 2, just starting year 3 in May. And I think, 3 years from now, it'll be different. In 10 years, we hope that it will be everywhere.
Well, it's one of those things that takes a long time to change. It goes from this category 10 years ago, the category didn't really exist other than prescription.
Product in America is equal, right? Is equal if you learn what it is. It's a byproduct of another, it's an after effect of what it's really meant for. But it's still number 1 in America. People love it, right? And so I think that, it's a great product. It helps people sleep. But if you look at us, it's the complete opposite. It's people who want healthy solutions. Look at all the people who are going vegan, who are going, all natural, organic. It's this in America. It's starting to change. So in Europe, they're much more educated towards the importance of it. Here, it's beginning. And like in California, we sell like crazy. We couldn't believe it. We had our first store, Rainbow Acres, and we didn't do any demos, and we were up to 72 cans a week. And we're like, how? But that's the community, right? But we're currently in Amazon Prime, we're on Amazon, we have our own website. We're in about 200 stores, focusing on New York, Chicago, LA, and Cincinnati is where you can find our product. And we get a ton of people buy it online.
People go online once they find out about this product. If they can't get it locally, it's definitely something worth ordering online for sure.
It's tough though, if you take it regularly, and it'll take a few days to get it. You want it now. So getting it in the store when you really need it, I think is super important. And the thing is, I stock it at home, so I have it ready. A lot of people don't do that, right? And so, but we'll get there. I mean, I'm excited because the retail business, we're getting a consistent reorder. So we had to validate, and we used to ask challenges is, are people going to buy it and reorder it, right? So if you get into a retail store, if it doesn't sell, they quit carrying it. So the good news is we see reorders from retailers every month or 2. And we got into the 2 biggest distributors, which is, KeHE and Unify. And we've been opening more and more areas, and we're seeing the constant repeat business. So that to us says the consumers are responding and it's working. We just got to keep blocking and tackling and be smart. And because if you love the product, we don't want it to go away. We have a responsibility to our loyal consumers that love the product, that we are a responsible company that will be here for a long time. So.
For anyone who's listening right now who is at the very beginning stages, year 1 of their food company, what advice would you give to them about being able to grow a sustainable food business or beverage business?
I will tell you, as an entrepreneur, I started with $1,000 when I was 15 and been bankrupt once, and all good entrepreneurs go bankrupt at least once, if not more. Cash is king, cash flow. And I didn't understand cash flow until I went bankrupt. And I went bankrupt when I was making money and doing well. And I was forced into bankruptcy because somebody bounced a $200,000 check. And, it was just created havoc, and a vendor forced us in bankruptcy. I got out of it quick, but in that process, I really understood what cash flow was. And I think most people in business are like, let's go sell, let's get in Target, let's get in Walmart, let's get in Whole Foods, let's just go sell. And they just commit to all these things, and then they run out of cash, and then they go out of business. right? And so I think it's understanding cash, being slow and steady, nothing great, nothing amazing. If you look at good movie stars and successful people in business, it was a long, steady, turbulent growth, right? And that's how you have a sustainable life. And I think if you go up quick, you go down quick. So it's more about slow, steady, blocking and tackling, learning your consumer, knowing what your consumer wants, doing the right thing for your consumer, constantly educating them to improve whatever the product is you're after, and get that systemic growth through having loyal people that you're doing the right thing. You know how when you buy a product, you love it, and someone buys that company and now it tastes like crap? It's like, why did you buy it? Well, they bought it to make money, not to do what it's meant to do. And our product is really to help you sleep better. So why would we take out ingredients, cheapen ingredients? So if you look at a pill, our pill would be about that big because of the amount of ingredient. But pill companies can only make a pill at the size of the machine. So they only put the amount of ingredients that can fit in the size of that pill. And we're not going to take 8 or 10 pills, right? So you can get a pack of sleeping pills, 50 for $8, but they don't work, right? And so it's being responsible. And I would say to anyone, if you make a product that's going to be a functional beverage, there's a reason you made the recipe that way. Don't change it. Charge a little more, don't cheapen it, and make sure it has the effect that you made it for. Because if you process things differently, buy different ingredients, it'll make the product worse. So that would be my advice. And there's no fast way, and invest in time to learn your consumer and not fool yourself, right? I mean, you go into Walmart or a Target or a Rite Aid or a CVS, they sell everybody, right? And they expect a certain turn. So don't go into those stores until you can afford to be there. I would say, don't give credit if you can't afford to lose it. So if you can't afford the credit, don't go in that store. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think that's really good advice for everyone because it's, really easy to want to chase the biggest accounts, the most distribution. And it comes back to what you said, cash is king. You got to make sure that you can manage that, or you can't fulfill those orders, or you can't buy the next, batch of ingredients or a batch of cans or whatever it may be. And all for what? To say you're in Walmart?
Like if Whole Foods said, okay, I'll put you in LA, you're like, well, I want to be in all stores. Go in LA, like try it. If you're, or a Kroger or a Target wants to test you in a region, that's a good thing for you, because if you, like I said, if you can't afford the write-off, don't give them the credit. And I think that really helps people, because I coach people how to start new businesses, and they just want to sell everyone. I'm like, can you afford to write off 10,000 or 20? No. Well, then why are you selling? Like, because if they don't pay the bill, you're out of business, right? And so it's hard to start a beverage business because the big guys own the space. But the reason they own the space is they make money for the retailer, right? And that's what consumers are buying. And so you got to create your demand before you earn space in those places. Like I would love to be on the front end of all these great stores, right? We'd sell. But we're at Jungle Gym's on the front end because they develop brands. That's what that store does. And we have, 6 locations in the store, and we're doing amazing there. Now, how do we replicate that over a chain store? It's impossible, right? So we'll get there. I believe, where we sell better, which is crazy, is we sell better in the functional beverage space than in the sleep space. Is people who buy sleeping pills, melatonin, and all this stuff, they want to be knocked out. They're not our customer. It's the person in functional beverage saying, ooh, I like this because it does this, and I need to sleep. And those people actually love our product. And so we're not big enough, though, to get in those spaces. And so we have to fight to get them, right? And slowly but surely we're making good progress.
And just final question I have for you. What does Snoooze pair perfectly with?
Wes is sitting next to me. He'll tell you the Snooozy. So it's an interesting story, but my doctor, when I got my last sinus infection, she's like, I was in Jackson Hole skiing. She's like, I'm not giving you antibiotics. She says, take a hot toddy and take 2 a day until it's gone. And it took 6 or 8 days, but it worked. It was slower than an antibiotic. So we kind of laughed about it. So we tried a Snooozy, which is, what's the ingredients again? Yeah, so it's like a mint. So he has his, I have mine. But it's like a mint julep, but instead of water, you put in Snoooze. And so you put a little bit of mints, you put in some bourbon, and you put in some sugar. Is that correct? For the mint julep? For mine, it's lemon, it's honey, it's bourbon, and it's a Snoooze instead of water, and you heat it up. But you really shouldn't have the liquor before you go to bed. So to pair it with something, we have a lady that one of our chiropractors that she gives the product to her customers, and now she sells it, but she still gives away, I think, more than she sells because she's always giving it away. She says she drinks it Saturday afternoon, the regular, half a glass, to calm her down as she's kind of a live wire to pay her bills. And then she has a full glass of Snoooze at night when her husband's having a bourbon. So she puts it in a wine glass, and she just has it plain. But, some people will put different fruits in it. Some people will mix it with a seltzer or something, or, a tonic, or it just depends on you. But if we mix it, we like doing it with bourbon. But we're in Kentucky. That's a big thing here. Red Bull, if you know the story of Red Bull, it was designed as an energy drink for athletes. And the whole vodka Red Bull was a fluke from an area in Austria in a bar zone where the owner, like long hair, I heard the story about this long hair guy came into them. They're like, go away. Like, we don't want to deal with you. And he was keeping the people at the bar till 4 or 5 in the morning. And so they started doing Red Bull and vodka. And that's how Red Bull and vodka got started worldwide. It was an energy drink. All these NBA people developed it, and they were like, no, we don't do liquor. And so, but, in Kentucky, we're very proud here. And bourbon is the drink of choice in the mint julep. So, Wes likes he calls it the Snooozy, and I call mine the mint, what's mine? The hottie toddy. I call it the Snooozy toddy. So, but it's, when you're feeling crappy, it's worth it. The doctor says the bourbon kills everything. Can you believe my doctor actually told me that? I was like,
doctor's orders right there.
It's like, you don't need anything but lemon, honey, tea, some bourbon, hot water, and go to bed, and your body will fight it off. But, it'd be fun to hear our consumers what they mix it with. I just drink it and go to bed.
Thanks so much for everything, Rick. Thanks for sharing all this great information. And for everyone who wants to go check out Snoooze, go check them out. It's Snoooze with 3 O's. The Food Founders Podcast is brought to you by the Fab Growth Academy, the online hub for driven food and beverage business owners that want to get on more shelves, get into more homes, and really grow their food business. Inside the Fab Growth Academy, Fab standing for food and beverage, you'll have unlimited access to tools, resources, and training from myself and my food friends. So if you know you have a great product, let's work on building the business side of things so that more people can enjoy it and you can make the impact I know you want to make with your business. The Fab Growth Academy is now open, so hop on over to growmyfoodbrand.com to join me and your fellow food founders inside the Fab Growth Academy. I cannot wait to see you in there and help you grow your business.